Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic. Well, this is an exciting week, isn't it, for all of our friends in the Northern Hemisphere that celebrate Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's coming up, and it's a time when we should all be thankful, whether we live in an area where we celebrate Thanksgiving or not. Here in Australia, we don't as yet, but I think it's a time to sort of reflect, be thankful, and just enjoy the people that are in our lives and sort of say to ourselves how very, very lucky we are that we're not in a pandemic, that we can actually spend this quality time with family and friends, not just for Thanksgiving, but all the special occasions that are going to lead up to the festive holiday season. And as we head into the end of the year and celebrate bringing in the new year, it's a time for giving, it's a time for sharing, and it's a time for enjoying and being thankful for the people that we still have in our lives. And I know there's many people out there that would have lost somebody special or significant in this last 12 months. And it's a time to reflect on that and sort of, create some new traditions. I can't tell you what to do in your family. All as I can tell you in our family, since I lost my husband many, many, many years ago, and when my children were little, we always had an extra place at the Christmas table or the celebration table for their dad. And it sort of made it easier, I think, for the little, when they were little, to be able to sort of come to terms with that dad was still part of their lives. So it may just be a suggestion for you. Set an extra place at the table for all that you've lost, all the people that you've lost over the years, and that sort of brings them together. It brings everybody together, and we remember who we have lost at this particular time of the year. Anyway, let's get on with the Simply Tarot card of the week. And this week, I'm really pleased to say that it's the Four of Pentacles. Now, the Four of Pentacles is money improvement. Wouldn't we all like some extra money at this time of the year, with it being so very expensive? And we're all sort of spending and putting things on our plastic and all that sort of stuff. There's more money coming your way. So it's a time there where I'm not necessarily going to say to you, open your wallets up and your purses up and let money fly out the door. But it is a time where you shouldn't hang on to it too tightly. If you've got a little bit extra, maybe it's the time to give to a local charity or a local shelter or to the homeless or something like that. Even a few pennies can make a difference, because few pennies then go into dollars and pounds, and all of a sudden we've got a substantial amount of money to help people that are less fortunate than us. And it's a time where I look at this card and I sort of say, look, I'm not going to hang on to my money too tightly, but I'm not going to be silly with it either. I'm not just going to go out and spend for the sake of spending, but it's showing me there that it's a time when I can be a little bit more generous maybe, and maybe make a donation or two to a worthwhile cause. So it is something to think of, because, universally, the more we give out, the more we should receive. And I'm not saying give away all your money. I'm saying just be aware of that. That's the transfer of energy, and particularly on a psychic level. Now, it's really, really exciting time of the year, not just it being Thanksgiving, but we're in the Sagittarian time of the year, which is my time of the year. I'm a Sag, and I just love this magical time of the year because I'm a big fan of Christmas, and I'm a big fan of sort of getting everybody together and having some fun, having some laughs. Whether you've got a lot of money or you haven't, it's not about that. It's about the people, and it's about sharing and giving and doing something nice, or baking a treat or something for somebody or one of your neighbours, or just looking out for somebody that's a little bit less fortunate. So happy birthday to all the Saggies. I know we're only just into the Sagittarian time of the year, and it's a time where we, really do need to sort of look at what's been going on in our lives and, what we can improve, because the Sagittarian time of the year is where we become very, very optimistic, and sometimes be a little bit too optimistic that, we sort of think everything's beautiful and perfect, and we tend to sort of blow it out of all proportion. Make sure that you keep things in realistic check this year. Don't sort of say, everything's going to be rosy when you know darn well it isn't. You've got to live in a realistic way. But the Sagittarian time of the year is a time of optimism, of excitement, particularly for children as they get ready in the countdown to Santa Claus and all those wonderful things. And, there's lots of magical things that go on around the world, and everywhere has different traditions. Here in Australia, it's going to be hot and steamy and balmy, and we tend to do a lot of stuff outside and at the beach and all those sort of things. But I know in the Northern Hemisphere, where it's cold and I watch a lot of Christmas movies because I really enjoy the energy of them. It's magical to see the sort of the cold, the ice, the lights, the Christmas fairs, all those sort of things that you have that I associate with the Sagittarian time of the year. So happy birthday again to Saggies. Now, we've got Mercury, the planet of communication, has just gone retrograde. Now, look, people sort of still ask me, even after all these years, what does this mean for me? Now, regardless of your star sign, even though Mercury is in Sagittarius, and I'll talk about that in a minute, Mercury retrograde does not mean the world stops until the 16th of December or December 16. What it means is be aware of that, making sure that if you have to have some sort of communication, and communication involves cell phones, telephones, fax machines, messages, anything done on a social media platform is a message or a form of communication, plus us having a conversation in real life person, sitting down with somebody, make sure that your message is clear and concise. If you're having a face-to-face conversation, just stop periodically and make sure that that person fully understands what you're saying. People are going to be a little bit preoccupied. Yeah, I'm listening. Well, what did I say? Oh, well, they weren't really listening. They weren't really paying attention. They were focused on something that their minds wandered to. So if it's a really important conversation, make sure you stop, you double check that they fully understand what you're saying. This is not the time to bring up tricky things. If you have a really serious, tricky discussion that needs to be brought up, like there's issues in your relationship or whatever, I would certainly not do it until after the 16th of December. I would be sort of leaving it a couple of days after that. But it's a time where, sometimes other people will sort of say, oh, I hadn't thought of that, if you really get their attention. In the olden days when we used to send letters by snail mail, it used to be a time that I used to say to people, don't send something that's very important because it may get lost. And, now we sort of tend to send things by courier and have things delivered. Again, the same sort of message. Make sure that you've put the correct address in there. Make sure that you know when it's going to be delivered. Keep on top of it. Don't let them get away with anything. This is the time when parcels and deliveries can go astray because, somebody's put in the wrong digit or the wrong house number, and things end up, and everything's very busy anyway as we head towards the holidays. It's also the time that if technology is going to break down, this will be the time. The internet goes down, your laptop blows up, you drop your cell phone in the water, whatever. So be very, very careful of those sort of things. I mean, on the flip side of Mercury retrograde, it's a time for us to be really able to reassess, to sort of slow down a little bit, analyse what's going on in our lives, look at the things that maybe are the next projects on the list. Have we covered everything? Have we really given it enough thought? Are we ready to proceed? Do we need to put it back? Do we need to bring it forward? So it can be a time of great reflection. It's not necessarily a negative. Now, because it's in Sagittarius, you have to be a little bit careful. When Mercury's in Sag, regardless of whether it's going retrograde or not, be very careful how you approach things, because the Sagittarian energy can get a little bit boisterous, can get a little bit overexcited, can sort of really start to raise their voice to try and get heard, to sort of, rise above the rest of everybody else. Look at me, I'm the most important, I've got the most important thing to say. Now, look, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but what I'm saying is make sure that if you're going to have some voice conversations or write an email or an SMS, look at the tone of your voice. Are you shouting at somebody, or are you just being firm? Are you being, kind and considerate, but with a bit of a firm flavour? That's fine. Don't start yelling and screaming at people, or don't start sort of putting things in capitals, which is the same as shouting at someone. Just be aware of how would I feel if I received this message or I had this conversation with someone? Put yourself in the other person's shoes. Then you'll be perfectly fine. I mean, for a lot of people, it's a time when they're going to get the aha moment, the light bulb moment, where lots of ideas are going to come into their head and finally make a lot of sense. Things that they've been working on for a long time, because they've slowed down just marginally or sort of not focused on things quite as strongly, it's like there's a little bit of room in your mind for something to come in. So, as I said, Mercury retrograde until December 16. I always allow a day or two after it as the Mercury becomes stationary before it goes direct again. It's just a little way of just sort of being aware of things and being aware of, people are going to be frazzled, people are going to be busy. So make sure that you make allowances for that. We don't want to sort of start World War III in the family because, somebody was a little bit late or somebody forgot to bring the sprouts. Like these are things that, yes, okay, it might be a nuisance, but it's not the end of the world. We can always work around things. So that's really important. This week I'm going to focus a lot on the retrograde planets because we don't give them enough airtime. time, we don't sort of share with everybody how these planets are really affecting each and every one of us. And they are. So we've covered Mercury, that's the first one. And that's probably, in a sense, the most important one, because it's communication, and we all need to communicate on a daily basis. So we all need to understand that and sort of, make a little bit of extra time if you're flying out or you're going on a road trip or whatever. Just take, don't leave it to, if you've got to be there in 2 hours, go 3 hours, leave an hour extra earlier. The same if you're heading to the airport or the bus station, leave earlier, so that then if there's a ticketing problem or something's, the internet's down and they've got to do it manually, you've got enough time and you're not stressed and you're not stressing everybody else around you. So the next one we're going to talk about is Jupiter retrograde. Now, Jupiter retrograde, Jupiter's sitting in Gemini currently at the moment, so it's particularly going to affect Geminis, Libras, and Aquarius. So the opposite sign is Sagittarius. It will be there till February 2025. So we've still got a little bit of time here that we're working with a Jupiter retrograde. Now, Jupiter is the planet of expansion, opportunity, and luck. Jupiter sort of brings things in and sort of sometimes can exaggerate it or blow it out of all proportion, because he gets so excited and says, this is amazing, let's bring it, let's make it bigger and better. And, instead of making a little carousel, let's make a huge one. Everybody can enjoy it. So we need to make sure that we keep our expectations in check with this. It's not saying that things can't, be amazing, that, the Gemini energy is about new ideas. It's about local environment. It's about, swapping from one idea to another very, very quickly, because the Gemini energy can be very, very versatile and very quick and can, sort of flip from one idea to another. It's like a bee going from one set of flowers to another. It's off again very quickly, gathering information. So make sure that we don't waste this valuable information that we might be given. Write it down, put it on your cell phone, take some notes, so that when you've got time, you can come back to it and expand out on all those opportunities. It will flow over to the other remaining signs, but it won't be quite as strong. For the other remaining signs, you might just get one light bulb moment, or you might get one brilliant flash. Make sure you don't miss it. But make sure also too that you're on the lookout for new opportunities, new things that could come in that could be of advantage to you, that may not start till the new year or may not be ready to formulate until then. But you don't want to lose that momentum either. So make sure that you write down the information or gather the information so you can come back to it when you're less busy. The next one I want to talk about is Uranus. Now, I quite often talk about Uranus on this show, and I have been for quite some time, because Uranus sitting in Taurus is a big deal. Now, the fact that it's retrograde and will be there until January 25 is the fact that Uranus is the planet of the sudden, unexpected opportunities. Now, Uranus is like a bolt of lightning. It hits the ground, it stirs everything up, it happens very, very suddenly. Now, the thing that people most misunderstand about Uranus is, yes, it is sudden. It can seemingly come out of nowhere, but Uranus also sort of absorbs the energy. It's like Uranus is sitting there listening to our conversations, and you turn around and say, oh, I hate my job, I hate my job, I hate my job. Uranus says, oh, you don't want the job anymore, good, I'll take it away. And you sort of say, oh, no, well, I didn't really mean that. I just didn't particularly like the job today, or I was a bit cranky with it this week. Be very, very careful what you verbally sort of send out to the universe. Now, yes, it's going to affect the earth signs more, which is Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, the opposite sign of Scorpio, but it is washing over all the other 8 signs, not maybe as intense or as strong. But what I'm going to share with you is, while it's sitting in Taurus, it's governing things like our personal finances, no matter what your star sign is, the things that are important to us, the things that we value, whether it's, good manners, or whether we value our bank account or our car or whatever, we need to be very careful that what we're sending out to the universe, because as I said, Uranus only needs to hear it a couple of times and says, oh, good, you don't want that anymore, I'll take it away. I won't let that be a nuisance for you. So be very careful what you're saying. And, I've pulled people up throughout my life. People say, oh, get out of my kitchen, you're under my feet. You keep saying that to your husband or your wife or the children or whatever. Uranus will take them away, may not take them away permanently as in death, but, remove them out of your life, that they move on and find a better partner or move out. And that's not what you meant, So think about the things that you're saying. Say, darling, look, I really appreciate your help, but it'd be much easier for me to scoot around the kitchen if there wasn't so many people here. So it's a different way of approaching things. So Uranus is there until the end of January 2025. The final one I want to talk about today is Chiron. Now, Chiron is not a planet. Chiron is where we look in the chart for the past life experiences, the wounds, the things that need to be healed in this lifetime. What have we brought over? Now, this affects each and every one of us. Even though it's in a fire sign at the moment, it's in Aries until the end of December, and I'm sort of talking about 28, 29, 30. It's sort of right there till the end of the year. It is in Aries, so it is affecting Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, and the opposite sign of Libra. So what it's asking you to do is make sure that you're trying to consciously heal anything. And I mean anything that has held you back, anything from the past. So if you're any of those 4 major signs I spoke about, but it will wash over to the remaining 8 signs, you might not understand why all of a sudden you're starting to think of things that are very old, things that happened 20, 30, 40 years ago, and you think, what on earth is that coming back for? It's part of the healing that, you might have healed it to a certain point, but you locked that memory away to be sort of looked at another stage. Well, this is now the other stage. So random things will come into your mind. It's not necessarily we have to stop and give it a lot of airtime. We stop, we acknowledge it, say, yeah, okay, great, give it the flick. It's like going slide on your phone or your tablet so that you can sort of say, well, I've dealt with that. It's now been deleted. Like literally what we're doing. It's come up for one last look and we're going to delete it. Now, this is really important. We shouldn't try and rush this. We shouldn't try and force it. I have lots of fire sign friends and particularly Aries friends that are saying to me, I don't know what's going on. I can't settle. I can't this. My mind's racing and going all different directions. This is because the momentum is building up for Chiron to leave there and to go direct. And he's got to do what he has to do. He has to sort of force things to a head. He has to bring things to fever pitch to be able to sort of be sorted out, released, and move on. So be very, very aware of that. It's something that we need to do, and we need to be able to sort of do it very, very well. Okay, so we're going to take our first caller, which is Colleen in Lindbergh in Virginia. Are you there, Colleen?
Hi there, yes.
Do you have a question I can answer for you, please, Colleen?
I didn't have a question. I just wondered if there's something general you found for me or heard from me.
Okay, sweetie. Yep. It's just, I always ask to make sure there's something that, I want to make sure that we cover what you've phoned into for. The first thing that you're sharing with me, Colleen, is I want to tell you to slow down a little bit. Has it been really busy, has it?
I'm sorry?
They're asking you to slow down a little bit. Has this year been very busy, has it, that you've been sort of running from one thing to another?
So hard.
Has your life been very busy that, they're asking you to stand still for a minute, to just sort of take a breather?
Oh yes, I have been really running circles for about 3 months, and I am going to take it easy. I've been trying to relax more.
Yeah, well, that was the first thing that they were sharing with me, is it's sort of like, not saying to stand still, but they're saying like, let's just try and calm this down a little bit. Let's give Colleen a little bit of a chance to catch your breath, to be able to sort of say, oh, good, I've done that. Now I can sort of just slow down a little bit. 2025 is going to be not so much more of the same of what you've been through in 2024, but it's going to be whatever we didn't complete this year will sort of spill over into the first 3 or 4 months of next year. And then it's sort of like things become a lot more peaceful, if I can put it that way. It's like you know where you're going, you know what you want to achieve, and you know how to achieve it. Where this year has been, you've had to go at full throttle. Next year, you'll be able to sort of pull it back a bit and go at a pace that better suits you. The other thing that they were sharing with me, Colleen, was, are you looking to make changes to where you're living? Are you decorating or buying some furniture or something?
I just moved Saturday.
Right. Okay, that's why you're making changes and you're still getting settled. Well, okay, that would make sense. Yeah, well, you're going to really make it feel like home. It's going to, over the next few months, you're really going to sort of make it really homely, and I feel it's somewhere you're going to stay for some time. I don't think it's something that you're not planning another move in a hurry.
Well, I was hoping at the end of I have a year lease. I was hoping when the year was up, I was going to be scooped up out of here, and my daughter was going to bring me to Colorado. That's what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, but that's still, to me, that's still a long time. You're not moving in 3 months' time or anything.
No, 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 no.
No, you're still going to be there for at least another 12 months. I think it'll be a little bit longer than what you anticipate. You know, I'm not saying you won't move to Colorado. I'm just saying don't sort of maybe plan on it and being just in 12 months. It might be 14, 15
Right.
months before that's sort of possible. But it's all good, you know.
I've already felt that too. Yeah, but I've already felt that. It might be a little longer than a year, but I'm okay. This place is so peaceful and quiet, and I like it here.
Yeah, and I think you needed to have some peaceful too, Colleen, because I think your life has been so busy, and now, you know, we can just sort of let you exhale and just be for the moment, you know, and sort of regather you. And I think that's important. So, look, it's really important where you're living now. This was designed by the universe for you to be able to sort of, it's like stand still for a little while. It can be peaceful. We can regather who Colleen is and then sort of be off on the next adventure. But I wouldn't be planning on moving, you know, closer to your daughter much before sort of, say, January to March 2026. That's sort of in the time that I feel that will be happening. Anyway, Colleen, that's where we've got to leave it. I hope you enjoy your new home for as, you know, short or as long as you're going to be there, and have a nice Thanksgiving. We're going to talk with Tiffany now in Manitoba in Canada. Are you there, Tiffany?
Yes, hello.
Hello, Tiffany. How can I help you, sweetie? Do you have a question I can answer?
Yeah, I just wondered, my career, or lately I've just been really out of sorts. I just feel kind of lost. Just insight.
Yeah, look, that's understandable, Tiffany. I mean, a lot of people at this time of the year start to question, you know, what about this or what about that? You know, where's the year gone? And I don't know whether I want another one like this and all those sort of things. And one of the things that we look at is career. And it's interesting because what they're showing me is it's not the time for you to make a decision like that. It's like, yes, I can understand your frustration. Yes, I can see where you're coming from. But the powers that be on the other side are saying, now, hang on, Tiffany, put the brakes on a little bit. You know, we need to glide through the end of this year, and let's look at it in the early part of the new year. It's good that you've got the ideas and you've got the thoughts, but I don't think that there's really that much wrong with the current job you've got, other than you're a bit bored.
Okay. Yeah, right. Well, right now I'm just stay-at-home mom, and I just have certain jobs that I do on the side.
Right, okay.
Don't know if I should get out in the workforce or not.
Yeah, look, I'm not saying not to go back to the workforce. What they were sharing with me from the other side was, let's just glide through to the end of the year. Let's approach it again in the new year and have another look at it. There may be something that you're already doing now that maybe we can expand on that. But they were just saying to me, you're bored. And look, that's okay. Look, I know mum's life is busy and, you know, you haven't got time to get bored. But for the things that are personally for you, that you're working on, that you're earning a bit of an income out of, you're allowed to say, I'm bored, I want something more. You know, I feel now that, you know, the family's in a space where I can sort of look at returning to work. I don't know that even if you do return to work, Tiffany, it's going to be on a full-time basis. I just sort of felt part-time that and part-time still incorporating some of what you're doing now, and that sort of seems to be the good balance.
Okay. And I also had a question on anything on health.
Okay, health's one of those things that technically around the world we're not allowed to talk about because I'm not a doctor. I can talk about it on an energetic level. And energetically, to me, I think that you sort of, when you get bored or when you get frustrated or sick of something, that seems to sort of suck the life out of you. It sucks the energy out of you. And it's like that's then when I suppose we can bring in physical things that we sort of think, well, why did that happen or why is this happening? You know, it's more to do with your energy. It's more to do with when you become bored with something, then it's like a balloon. It's like the air goes out of the balloon and we're left with a bit of plasticky, rubbery stuff. And you think, oh, is that all? You know, I feel deflated. So I think, you know, health-wise, I think things will improve because as your energy improves and you feel, you know, more satisfied in yourself, we'll find those sort of things will start to sort of calm down and feel better anyway. It's a complicated thing because part of it's physical and part of it's emotional with you.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we've got to think outside the square a little bit. Maybe we've got to look at other solutions. You know, you've got to sit down and look at, well, what is it exactly that I'm physically going through, and sort of how maybe I can approach that in maybe a slightly different way. You know, look, I'm not an advocate for straight out all complementary therapies or just all going to the doctor. I think there's, you know, there's a blend of everything that we can find that works for us as an individual. And I think healthcare is one of those things that we've got to look at it from many angles and sort of say, what is the problem? How did it happen? How can I best improve it? What can I contribute to sort of maybe trying to improve my health? And, you know, is it partly my attitude? Because, I'm not an advocate for every ache and pain you've got in your body isn't, you know, a blockage because we haven't done something. I don't agree with that, because, you know, we have physical things that we inherit from family DNA. We also have, you know, whether we've had an accident or a fall or whatever. And, you know, if you've broken a bone, it's never quite the same as it was before it was broken. You know, they're not emotional blockages. They're facts. They're things that happened in your life. And I think partly what you're doing is you're going through a transition period, Tiffany, and it's like we need to readjust things. So anyway, that's where we're going to leave, Tiffany. We've come to the end of the show, and it's always interesting as, you know, we deal with different things with people, you know, health issues and things like that, which I've said before, you know, we can't talk about, we're not doctors, but, you know, that energy is a major part of that and how we approach things. Now, you know, I know lots of people around the world are, you know, gearing up for Thanksgiving, and that's an amazing time of the year, and things are, you know, emotional and exciting, and you're happy to see the family get together with family and friends, but also it's a very stressful time too. And with that stress can bring on, you know, if you've got an ailment or you've got a backache or whatever, it seems to magnify that, because, you know, the stress goes to that weaker part of the body. So if you're one of those people that, you know, has got a lot of things happening, you know, in the next 48 hours with Thanksgiving coming up, and you're starting to feel the stress, give yourself a little 5-minute break, you know, sit down with a cup of coffee and put some music on or something, and just, you know, you'll still get everything done. And if you don't, well, get somebody else to help you. You know, like, it's not always about we have to do it ourselves. I think sometimes we're our own worst enemy in that way. So this week I want to leave you with a song. I sort of agonized over what to leave you with as far as Thanksgiving. And it was sort of like, you know, which way do I sort of go? But then I feel this is an appropriate song that goes across for everybody, and it's Dionne Warwick's That's What Friends Are For. Because I think that, you know, without good friends and family and everything in our lives are not worth living. So, you know, we need to celebrate that. We need to acknowledge that the people that are in our lives are significant, and we need to take care of them. And that's what friends are for. And our family are like, you know, are partly our friends as well. Yes, we might have inherited them by birth, but we can still have some amazing friendships and some amazing connections there. So until next week, if you celebrate Thanksgiving, have a happy Thanksgiving, enjoy the time. Keep the arguments, the family disagreements to a minimum, you know, just enjoy it and sort of, you know, overlook those little annoying things that people might say or do, and just be thankful that you have the opportunity to all be together and be thankful for what we have. And I think that's really, really important. So until next week, happy Thanksgiving. Bye for now.